Welcome to Her Fund Talks, the podcast where we deep dive into gender-conscious investment and women-led enterprises. I am your host, Milena Stoycheva, and today I have the pleasure to have a conversation with Helena Jansson. Helena is a friend, I could call, and a seasoned senior finance executive with over 30 years of experience in corporate leadership, business transformation, and international finance. She spent more than 28 years in the corporate world at FedEx, holding key senior positions and roles at the European and international headquarters, collaborating closely with corporate and express headquarters in the US also. With more than 15 years at the C-level position and 2 decades leading large finance teams across Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, she has a very strong track record in driving strategic initiatives and operational excellence. Her expertise spans logistics and international expansion, digital finance transformation, BPO strategy, acquisitions and integrations, corporate risk management, and fostering high-performing leadership teams. She is a true champion of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and she has led also impactful initiatives at the corporate level. But now what I know about her, that she has a very strong passion for entrepreneurship, and she has sat on the board of Junior Achievement in Europe for more than 5 years. She is someone that I truly admire for her spirit and for commitment to supporting founders and investors and entrepreneurs across Europe. Now that she is moved away from corporate life, Helena is also a board advisor, startup coach, and investor who supports women networks in Europe and across the world. So, Helena, what a pleasure to have you today on the podcast. And I'm really looking forward to a very inspiring and also genuine conversation on what it means to truly support innovators and female founders across Europe, and how do we create a conducive environment for investing in such enterprises. And let me start with a question which is related to challenges, because we want to address first the challenges. Where do you think are the primary challenges that women-led enterprises or startups face in securing funding nowadays, if we were to compare this to their male counterparts or to the more established, let's say, traditional founders?
All right. I mean, it's a big question, so I'm going to try to be brief. I think there are two fundamental challenges. I think, first of all, it's the women themselves not feeling completely comfortable and reassured and sure of themselves to actually, start up something on their own, because it's a lonely mission to be the founder and kick that off with a lot of responsibility. So many women feel that they are not able. And I think the second piece is clearly the network, having the right kind of network to help them. I believe women are really good at networking, but most of the times it's support network and only women network, not necessarily the investment networks that they really need to tap into. And I know you had this discussion in your previous conversation, but I believe those are the two big fundamentals.
Yes.
Can I add something?
Yes. I was just going to comment. You're so right about networking, that we care. We go to support networks and causes in a way, but not really to support the business.
No,
our business.
Correct. More soft than hard. But as I was preparing for this, I was thinking a little bit. If I go back and I look at Junior Achievement, if I look at the company of the year and what I have seen during my years in Junior Achievement, there was a lot of females. I would even say that it's more females than men. So clearly there is an interest at a younger age. But when you then fast forward and, I look at what I've seen in business angels or investment environments, the ratio has changed. The women are not there. So somehow or somewhere between when they are students, 17, 18, until they are, let's say, 20 plus, we lose them. And I think that's something that we need to focus in on.
Yes, I think it's such a good observation. It very much coincides with what I have seen. And it's very interesting because on the one hand, you were commenting on the mentality and the mindset that we have as maybe future founders or as entrepreneurs, that we don't have that ego, let's say, or big confidence to say, oh, we will do it and we'll be successful. And this is something that needs to be encouraged maybe a little bit more. But on the other hand, there is motivation, there is ambition at this earlier age, and it breaks, as you were pointing. So I think it's very important that this is one of the areas of big gap, right? Correct. Of how to cross that chasm, that gap. How do you think we could address this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are a few things that I think are the reasons, and then kind of indicates what we can do about it. I think the first piece is, female don't really see this as a career path, as a job. It's not something that it's not visible to them, and they don't see that. And I would also say it's not encouraged. When you go to the job fairs at the school, it's very little about being an entrepreneur and finding that out. So I think putting that on the career, I'm going to say charter or the career map for youngsters, I think is really important. And that's also for men. But I think that is clearly missing. And the second piece is what we talked about before, is making sure that the networks are the right ones for them, and not only I'm going to call it the more fluffy networks, but really more hardcore investment forums where they can get help and support what they need to do. Because I think that's the third piece. Let's say that you have a female really motivated, great idea, got everything ready to go for it. What do you do? Where do you start? Things like, when you're in your 20s, you think about, maybe I want to be a mother and a family, and it's very safe when you're in a normal company because you actually don't need to think about that. Yes. But if you're an entrepreneur, you need to figure that out. So having that knowledge, having somebody to kind of tell you and show you how it can be done, I think is really important. So really tangible steps, I think, not so difficult, but I think they can make a difference.
Yes. Very true. So just having this, I think, as a role model or as a career path, projecting yourself as an entrepreneur is already something that could be quite vital in order for women to make that choice in life. Yeah. And have the confidence that this is really an option. It's not that the other one is, and then, as you were saying, really building stronger networks. So this is one of the goals that her fund project and in general this network of female founders and entrepreneurs that we are building at European level is trying to achieve, to create this platform where it would be easy and you feel really being included and having the voice that you can talk freely and also talk about business, about the real challenges that you have.
And it's so important, Milena. It's so important, and there's not enough of those. I'm going to call it kind of network for women. So what you do in her fund is really important, and I hope it expands quickly and exponentially.
Thank you so much. It's also, I believe, so much aligned with what we are doing in general also at JA. And you and I, we're now working on building a community of investors, and hopefully we will be launching soon a fund to invest in early stage entrepreneurs. So I'm very happy that we're on this journey together, because I see the power that we can bring by being together, by partnering in this.
Absolutely.
In your opinion, what is the most significant impact that this gender gap in actually funding for female founders or for female-led, let's say, or diverse enterprises could make as an overall impact on the economic landscape?
Yeah, I'm a finance person by in my blood, I think. So,
Yeah.
obviously, when I get that question, I'm thinking about the financial, the macroeconomics, and if we have the hypothesis that male and females are equally good entrepreneurs, in the same context and in the same environment, there is a big opportunity if we can get more females to be entrepreneur from a pure macroeconomic and a pure growth scenario for Europe. I'm going to focus on Europe.
Yeah.
And and if you look at the numbers, and I was doing some research, if you look at the SME, which is the small and medium companies in Europe, which are really the ones that once upon a time started by entrepreneurs in one way or another, the definition being less than 50 and 250, that's really where the big growth, that's where the big numbers are coming from. And we often forget that there is some real tangibles around this. And if you think about it, the latest number that I saw, that around 60% of the EU's GDP are from these small and medium companies. Mm-hmm. And they also have the high growth. The growth between 23 and 21 was almost 5%. So huge numbers. So when you think about that, and if you're assuming, best case scenario, will be 50%, untapped, I call it the untapped accelerator for Europe economy. That's how I would phrase it.
Yes, thank you. This is a great point. I think we've also done this research of what it would mean even if these enterprises start earlier and Europe invests in those. And we were calculating that Europe really is missing about 9 million entrepreneurs to be of its entire population, simply because we haven't been investing enough into this, as we were saying, career opportunity or future projection for them. And so Absolutely. The economics are really in favor, and
yes,
they're really outlining that that this is there is an impact, business value and financial return that we would be missing out on if we weren't to continue or to invest in female-led enterprises.
And I think in today's environment, when you're seeing how the economy is doing, and I'm not going to get into that, but finding a little nugget like this to actually that is ready for cultivation and exploration, you can't leave that behind. You need to act on that very quickly. I don't think we have the luxury of time anymore in Europe.
Yes, spot on that. How can the investment community better support women entrepreneurs, both in terms of funding and and mentorship? You mentioned networks, but also you've been an advisor, coach, and mentor. Can you share a little bit of that insight?
Yeah, and again, I'm coming back to what I said. We kind of lose them there somewhere between being, in their 17 to the 20s. So how do we do that? The network is clearly an important one. I'm going to call it entrepreneurial. I'm going to even go as far to say the male-dominated networks. They need to open the door for females. So that's clearly one. And the second piece, which we touched upon as well, is showcase more success stories. And it doesn't have to be the unicorns. It has to be normal small companies where they actually are able to live from what they do. They are not the one to be in a magazine, but the small and startups that are actually making it work. I think we see far too little about that.
I fully agree.
So we need to see the normal one that actually make it work and make that more accessible to females. And then the third piece is, we talked about that before as well. It's about having more male mentors, having that relationship established. But I also think, we talk a lot about male being mentors to women, but women can also mentor men because it's a dual, it's reciprocate. It has to be. And we don't talk enough about that. I think there's also very strong need for male to be mentored or to coach by females. And I think we need to have both equations needs to be in place for it to be successful.
I have to tell you that this is a very interesting perspective that you are noting, that we have not, actually nobody has commented on this, that if there is also this reverse or exchange of mentoring, this will also open up the thinking and the mindset for men to be investing and their understanding at what it means to be investing and supporting to have more female founders.
Absolutely. I mean, we are, I mean, humans are comfort. We tend to go to what we are comfortable with, and men are more comfortable with men. I'm stereotyping, which is again not fair, but if I'm stereotyping, most of the times in the investment forums, they are more comfortable with men. So if you open up that link with mentoring women, you kind of put a stop to that.
Yes. Great point. I will make a note of that you brought it up, because I really see how important it is. Is there any way you see that we can encourage more investors? Would you have any suggestion actually on how to encourage more investors to change the stereotype thinking, or this bias into how they invest?
Yeah, I mean, again, first of all, is obviously visibility, being aware, and getting it kind of in your face with podcasts, with new articles, etc. But I think that the second piece, which is really important, we need to talk more about the success and the positive framework. Sometimes when we talk about female in business or female entrepreneurs, it's almost a little bit victim. We are portraying ourselves as victim instead of being strong, and that doesn't help us. So I think that's something that we women need to think about, that we can do. And I think the second piece as well, which kind of goes hand in hand, an investor is looking at the returns and the numbers, and we shouldn't forget about that. Investing in female startups is not a charity; it's a business proposal, and I think we females need to get back to that and get better at talking about the financials and the business benefits of what we are doing. And I think we are kind of forgetting that when we talk about the female angle of entrepreneurship. It's all about business. It's a business proposal.
So it's in a way to bring the conversation to the topic that investors understand the best. And we need to emphasize that we can deliver on this first,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Great.
You said it much better than I did, Milena. So I'll go with your wording. That was you articulated it much better than I did.
No. I'm just recapping of what you said. I think you said it very well. I think it's also we are emphasizing this point. And then I think as we were discussing, you come from the corporate world, which has been very strong. You have a incredible track record in leading this huge organizations, especially again in the key areas, functional areas for that are really allowing growth and sustainability. So what do you think would be actually ways to encourage more institutional investors to support and allocate funding for capital for women-led startups, or to really start being more faster in making these decisions so that there would be impact and more adequate response to what the these companies need?
Yeah, I think we need to kind of turn it upside down. And when we're talking to, great institutional investors and large organizations, we need to talk about the economics, the business, the proposal that we're putting forward. That's the number one. And the second piece would be, not only will you have great returns and you are entering in a great project, but you're also supporting female entrepreneurship. It shouldn't be the other way around. We need to first talk about the business, and second, kind of a add-on. It shouldn't be the prime driver. And I think that's kind of been our problem, that we are focusing too much that it's females as opposed to the great idea that the females have and that they want to bring forward to a company.
Or as you were saying earlier, the business value, right?
Absolutely.
Again,
absolutely. We need to come back to the business value. It's not a charity. It's not an NGO. It's to make money and to make a difference.
Yes. Wonderful. Well, very well noted. And my last question would be, what do you think are key metrics and performance indicators you are looking for when you are evaluating enterprises, startups, and then in particular, maybe female-led startups? So maybe there isn't a difference between the two.
Yeah, you kind of answered the question for me, Milena. I don't think there is a difference, and there shouldn't be a difference. Actually, we should advocate that there is no difference. It's the same metrics.
Yes.
And you've done this before. When you go in and you look at the company, you kind of have your checklist. You have 10 things that you are looking at, that you're interested in, and the numbers, etc. But for me, there's one thing that always comes back as the number one, and that's kind of the the entry ticket to the dance. And that's really about how solid and how strong is the management team. Can they deliver on it? Because I've seen so many times great ideas where the team and the founder just was not able to. Actually, I didn't feel comfortable that they could deliver on it. And I think that's something to keep in mind. And that's why I think the mentorship is really important, because if you have a great idea and one of your mentors can tell you, well, actually, it's a great idea, but I don't think you can actually manage it. I think there's nothing a shame in that. But a strong management team is the number one. No matter what good idea you have, you can have a great idea. If you don't have that, it will never take off.
Yes, beautiful. I agree with you. Sometimes I'm even saying, if I can feel the vibe or the spirit within the team, that gives me the confidence that they will really make it, and that they're determined and resilient. And this is what you were saying fully, that they
Absolutely.
have the capacity to deliver that business value.
Correct.
The rest of it is other metrics that can be followed up, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Helena, for this wonderful and insightful conversation. I have taken a number of things from what you were saying, bringing back the conversation to the business value, bringing also forward the fact that this is not a philanthropy, and really looking, supporting the economic and financial parameters when we're having conversations, and being mentors to more men-led enterprises rather than only vice versa. So thank you. It's been really good to talk. Looking forward to be on this journey with you and to continue this conversation. Thank you.
Me too, Milena. It's a pleasure. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you.